Good morning, T.E. Sanders here. Hope you're all doing well. I have been feeling, I won't use the word overwhelmed, that's not really it, but I feel like I've been getting pulled in a lot of different directions lately when it comes to my creative pursuits. I mean, do you ever feel that way? I'm sure I'm not the only one. Now, I've heard this word being thrown around, multi-passionate. And yeah, okay, that's a good word for it. Personally, I like to call myself a multidisciplinary artist because it sounds cool. And I've been doing this whole living an artist life or multi-passionate or multidisciplinary kind of thing for a long time, and just more recently got into this mindset of, you know what, to hell with it. I'm just going to turn it up to 11. I'm going to get my hands on any and every tool that I can that will help me wrangle these beasts that are my creative pursuits. Now, even though I've done this and I've created the funnel for myself and all that, it's still a struggle, but technology helps there. It really does. And that kind of brings up the question that I hear asked a lot these days, and that's, is big tech and AI killing creativity? And I would say no. No, I don't think it is. Sure, it makes things a lot easier for people to get an output that they might not otherwise be able to get, maybe because they haven't put in the time or it's just not something they're particularly good at, whatever. Now they can do it. All they have to do is mash a button, and maybe 30 years ago they wouldn't have been able to do it. Now they can, with AI in particular. I mean, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about a lot of the tech, but more recently it's been AI. AI has made it basically no barrier. For a long time, the barriers were getting lowered and lowered and lowered, and now it essentially doesn't even exist. Well, that's not really true. I mean, you still need a little bit of technical knowledge, but not much. I mean, if you can type, you can make something happen. Now, whether or not something like that is good depends on various things. It could be an accident. It could be that you just think what you're looking at is cool. If it is really good, like really good, it will likely be an accident. That's my opinion. But ultimately, if you do these things and it makes you happy, then screw everybody. Just do what you want. Yeah, it might piss me off, but I have no position that gives me the right to tell you not to do something that brings you joy. Now, all that being said, there's a massive downside to this that's been discussed by many people over and over again up to this point, and that is the noise. Tech in general had already made this a pretty noisy place to begin with, and now with AI, it's just going to be an avalanche. I mean, it's already an avalanche. So my advice to creative people is you just learn your craft. Learn your craft. Now, someone might ask, well, why would I need to bother doing that when I can just mash a button? You know, again, like I said earlier, it could be an accident. As satisfying as whatever it is you're doing might be, it's nowhere near as satisfying as creating with intention. And besides, you never know when you might end up shipwrecked on a deserted island or in some post-apocalyptic situation where you have no internet, no electricity, or something. So creating with intention. That's something I talk about a lot on here, and it is what it sounds like it is. You're creating with your entire being. You know what you want. You've got a vision about what you want, and you go through the process of creating that vision. And the thing about using something like AI is you can do that to a certain degree, but a lot of times you're not going to get exactly what it was that you had in your mind. It's getting better, but until it can do exactly what I had in my mind, it's not really an extension of my own creative intention. It's not a part of me. It doesn't come from my life that I've lived and the experiences I've had up to that point. And even whenever you're creating some surreal stream of consciousness thing, you're still creating with intention. Because again, this is using your real self to create something, and that also lives on a subconscious level. Now, this is why you have to learn your craft. If you learn your craft to the point where these things are automatic, then intention is just a naturally flowing thing from that. It flows from your knowledge, your experience, your personality. And then the end result is, whether you were conscious of it or not, it is a part of your intentional self. Another place that this is shown is with writing code. That's something else I do. So nowadays, whenever I want to work on an app, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to reach for AI and I'm going to have a conversation with the AI, and it's going to write the code for me. Now, it's gotten really good at it to the point where the end result is that it will usually work. When it doesn't, and I go look at the code, it looks like it was written by 10 different people with 10 different ideas of how code works. There is no real continuity in that. And I wonder, even on the creative side with images and the rest of it, it's probably the same kind of thing going on. So what I have to bring to bear is my craft in that regard, right? So I have to look at that code and figure out what's going on. Now, if I did not have any craft, I couldn't direct anything. I couldn't steer anything or drive anything in any particular direction. I would just have to hope that the AI could do it. Now, it may get there eventually to where it doesn't need any of that steering, but it does now for sure. And who knows where the plateau of this stuff is. There's been talk lately about we are reaching a plateau in terms of the amount of compute power and how much more we could throw at it. We're getting diminishing returns is what I'm hearing. And it's something that I kind of thought would happen eventually anyway. So it's okay. I mean, even the current technology is very usable as long as you know your craft. This thing ends up being a boon to you, a really good tool, something to give you a bit of a power up, I guess you could say. So the question, has technology ruined creativity? Well, did the ballpoint pen ruin writing, or the typewriter? Did the typewriter ruin writing? Or did the movie camera ruin theater? Or did a film camera ruin painting? Or did the digital camera ruin photography? Or for that matter, did Photoshop ruin photography? I mean, none of these things have ruined anything. They've made those spaces better. So, some things will supplant previous ways of doing things. And when it does, it's usually because it was just a better way of doing it. Otherwise, we wouldn't adopt it, right? Fantastic time to be alive. I wish I could live for 1,000 years so I could see how all of these technologies are going to progress and give us more power to do things as humans, especially in the creative space. I wouldn't be able to pull off half the things I do if it weren't for the technological tools at my fingertips to give me that boost. There's just not enough hours in the day. Of course, AI is still very concerning, but I have a theory that AI being introduced as a way to create the way it has been presented to us actually makes us humans and our output even more valuable. And there's examples of this already. I mean, you look at how people gravitate towards handmade and high quality items, right? I mean, sure, somebody will want that AI generated image on their wall because it's super cheap, but whenever they want something good, they'll reach for a human created item, just like we do with everything else. You want something really good and high quality, you reach for handcrafted high quality items. Would you need something that's just a knockoff, which happens sometimes? You just hit Amazon and buy the cheapest knockoff, whatever you can get your hands on to get whatever that particular job done. That's fine. I mean, it's been working for a long time. I don't see why it wouldn't continue to work now in this particular space. I feel like it's the same psychology. I mean, things are going to be disrupted. There's no doubt about that. We'll just start doing things a lot differently. And then, future generations will simply do those things that way. Whatever it is we end up evolving into, there's going to be future generations that won't even know what it was like to do the previous things. It's like my writing, for example. I mean, I can't remember what it was like not to write with a computer. And when I first started writing, I did on legal pads with a pencil. And looking back on it, I don't even know how I did that. How did I do that? This has happened with so many different things. Another example is Back whenever the first car, the Model T or whatever, was created, I read somewhere that the people at the time, they just could not wrap their heads around this thing being something that would supplant the horses. They're like, nothing's ever going to beat horses. This is it. Horses is it. And this is just some little toy or whatever it was they were thinking. And now we look back on that and laugh at it. It's like, oh, it's so obviously better. I don't know if that'll happen with AI necessarily, but I do think we're going to reach a point in the future where we're not going to know or remember how we were getting along without it, similar to the way we do with the internet, for example. It's like we don't remember, or I don't, or cell phones is another one. I don't remember what it was like to not have a cell phone. How did I ever make phone calls without a cell phone? How did I ever look anything up without the internet? So again, my suggestion to anyone who's doing anything, you just upgrade your vertical. Become the best in that domain and use AI to do it. Use it to up your game. Now, the best way to avoid becoming obsolete is to just embrace that which makes you better. Think of it as an anti-elimination insurance policy. We all love to be really good at things. And this is a big differentiator. And why I don't think AI only creations is really going to fly any more than what I've already mentioned. But I think being AI enhanced will. So, become the best AI enhanced or AI enabled version of yourself that you can. For creative people, these tools are like crack for the muse. So don't sleep on it. Don't let your emotions get involved and become a Luddite just because you're like, oh, this is terrible. It's a car and I want to ride my horse. No, don't do that. I mean, for me, for one, welcome our robot overlords. Just discuss it down below or send me a message or something and tell me how you're using AI, because I know some of you are. Maybe you're not telling anybody. Or you can just comment down below that you think I'm the Antichrist in digital form. They never really said what form the Antichrist would take, did they? I don't know. I have to look that up.